Shalom, I'm Rabbi Michael Panitz, the Rabbi of Temple Israel of Norfolk, Virginia, speaking to you from the pulpit of my congregation. My topic at this time is entitled Amalek, the Original Antisemites. And this is the second of two messages looking at that particular marauding, vicious group of people. I remember when most American Jews thought that anti-Semitism was a marginal problem in our day. In the 1960s, we knew about neo-Nazis and we knew about anti-Israel leftists, but they were at the extremes of the political spectrum. Israel was reflexively hated in the Arab world, and the Soviet bloc periodically turned up the heat in its unending anti-Semitism, but we were hopeful that things would improve. The Camp David Accord of 1979, the peace with Jordan 15 years later, the hopeful first year or so after the Oslo Agreement with the Palestinians, we thought that those were the dots that we could connect. Now, that seems like a lifetime ago. Who would have thought that in the United States of America, both right and left-wing voices would dare to say that the October 7th massacre of Israelis was not what we should be thinking about, but only Israel's response to it? Who would have thought that in America, not the Arab world, some would actually justify the brutal, large-scale murder, rape, and kidnapping spree as so-called resistance, quote-unquote, to Zionism? To me, it feels as if we are in a reprise of Germany after Kristallnacht, or the attacks on Jewish communities in Ukraine from Reds, Whites, and Poles in the many-sided civil war after World War I, or in Tsarist Russia after the Kishinev pogrom, or in the Ottoman Empire after the Damascus blood libel of 1840. Open violence against Jews at a time when we had dared to think that such violence was a relic of former days. And too much of the world either stands idly by or loses interest in aiding Jews long before the threat has even begun to abate. Last Shabbat, the Torah introduced us to the hereditary enemy of the people Israel, the nation of Amalek. In the classic narrative of our national origins, we learn that they committed an unprovoked attack upon us as we were leaving Egyptian slavery. This is Exodus chapter 17, verses 8 and 9, and verse 13. Amalek came and fought with Israel at Rephidim. Moses said to Joshua, "Pick some men for us and go out and do battle with Amalek." Joshua weakened the Amalekites in battle. Unlike the boastful propaganda of the pharaohs, the Bible reports truthfully when Israel failed to win a total victory. Note that Joshua forced the Amalekites to withdraw but did not end their threat. The conclusion of this passage acknowledges soberly that there would be conflict from Amalek, quote, from generation to generation. Today, this Bible story feels not only prescient, but terrifyingly relevant. On October 7th, the Palestinian terrorist organization Hamas committed the worst atrocity against Israel in our homeland's modern history. In one day, they murdered 1,200 Israelis and kidnapped 240 others. In response, Israel declared war on Hamas. It stated that its objective is to end the reign of terror that Hamas is exercising. I fear that Israel will be as successful as Joshua, but not more. That it will weaken Hamas, but that the hatred that fueled the success of Hamas in the first place will allow it or its clone to rise up from the rubble of Gaza and continue the cycle of murder and destruction from year to year, from generation to generation. I hope that I'm wrong in having this fear. If Hamas endures, we will simply know that Amalek is alive and continuing its evil work, and that Hamas is its latest incarnation. But if it can be eliminated, and, this is an important and, if the Palestinian citizens who now support it, and many do, if they can come to realize that it does not represent any good way forward for them, then at last the conditions for a better future for both Palestinians and for Israelis can at last be accomplished. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may this be God's will. Amen.